Leah Rowling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my beautiful friends. How are we? Welcome. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Leah Rowling, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want to kind of invite you into this conversation that sounds really simple, but will change everything once you see it. There's a fight that we keep having with our lives, with other people, and with ourselves. And we lose every single time. And that's the fight with reality. And so if you've been feeling exhausted or stuck or emotionally spun lately, there's a good chance that this is why. There is one fight that you will never, ever, ever win, and most of our suffering comes from insisting on having it anyway. And that's this fight that we're going to bring forward in this conversation with reality. What do I mean by reality? What I mean by reality is with what already happened, right? With what is. And I want you to consider that reality, it doesn't argue back. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't justify its presence. It just keeps being exactly what it is. So when you argue with it, okay, when you try to justify it, defend it away, I want you to consider that you don't change reality in your fight against it. You just add pain on top of pain. And so I want to slow this down today, not philosophically, but very practically, because this shows up everywhere in our lives, right? I coach around it almost every single session. I coach around this argument with what is. And it can sound like strength, right? It can feel like caring. It can even feel smart, can feel intelligent. But most of the time, scratch that, all of the time, it's just resistance, and resistance is expensive. So I want to walk you through 3 very, very specific ways that we argue with reality and lose. And then 2 things that actually work in order to help us out of that argument. And then 1 truth, right, to come back to when you kind of catch yourself in the fight. So we're gonna take this in a 3-2-1 approach, because like I said, I really want this to be a practical conversation, and there's so much unnecessary pain and suffering that people are navigating because they continue to fight reality. Okay, so let's start with the most common one, which is this shouldn't be happening. Okay, this is usually the first argument that we have with reality. Something happens, right? And our mind immediately rejects it, right? This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. This ruined everything. They should have said this. They shouldn't have said that. They should have done this. They shouldn't have done that, right? And the moment you say, this shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be this way, this should be different, they should have done this, they should have done that, okay? Your nervous system moves into protest mode. Your nervous system thinks something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. And so it armors up, right? And so I want you to consider here that although pain may be unavoidable, suffering begins when we reject this moment in time, when we reject the present, and when we are protesting this reality, okay, we are not leading. We are not making decisions. We are not problem solving from the very highest version of ourselves. This prefrontal cortex goes offline, right? When you're in fight or flight, right? When your nervous system is armored up, do you think that your executive function part of your brain is online? It isn't. Like, we don't need to be making decisions for our future. We don't need to make decisions for the very best of ourselves. We need to make decisions to make sure that we live another day. Nervous system, get armored up. Let's go. Okay? When that happens, we are in reaction. We are in a fight and flight way to react, to survive. Okay? So we just have to know that whenever you're thinking that things should be different, your life should have been different somehow, other people should have been different, whatever, you're arguing that this should not be happening. Okay? The second argument is a little bit more relational, and I kind of referred to it in that first argument, but it's often more draining. And this is that they should be different, right? This shouldn't be happening is argument one with reality. They should be different, okay? This one is often disguised when my clients bring it to me. It's as like righteousness, right? We convince ourselves that if someone would just see it or get it or change it, that everything would feel better. And we bring it forward like, I mean, right? Obvious. Like obvious they should do that, or it's obvious that they shouldn't do that. Like, I mean, everyone knows, right? This is what this conversation looks like, either spoken aloud or in our mind. But arguing with who someone is, I want you to consider this, is asking for a false sense of control without any sort of consent, right? And every time we do that, we hand our peace to their behavior. We delegate our emotional well-being to what it is that they are going to do or what it is that they're not going to do. And I do want to clarify, and I clarify this a lot with my clients and on other conversations that I've had about this, acceptance doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean I approve. This aligns with my values. This is something that I would do. No, it just means that it is what happened, right? It means accuracy. This is a fact. This is what happened. And if I want to argue it, then fine, I can. It isn't going to change it. It isn't going to make it better. It's just going to rob you of the joy and the peace that you deserve. And what I love about accuracy is accuracy gives you options. We'll talk about that. Okay. The third argument is often the quietest, but probably the most destructive. And that is, I shouldn't feel this way. Right? So we have the first one, that this shouldn't be happening. An experience shouldn't be happening. Something outside of you shouldn't be happening. Right? Whether it's political or spiritual or religious, whatever, something outside, an experience shouldn't be happening. And then people outside of you should be different in the way that they're showing up, better somehow. Okay. And then this third one is that I shouldn't feel this way. And this is where that fight, that argument, that armoring up turns inward. And so we don't just argue with reality, right? We argue with our own humanity. I see this all the time, you guys. It looks like I shouldn't feel sad. I know I should just be fine. I should be over this by now. How many times do I have to fill in the blank? How many times do I have to have this conversation with myself? I should do better. I should know more. I should, and we should all over ourselves. I should be more grateful. I should be more joyous. I shouldn't complain, all of it. And I want you to understand that emotions aren't problems to solve, right? They're signals to allow. They're data points for us to consider. And I also want you to consider that when we argue with emotions, hey, friends, they don't leave. You can try to buffer them away. You can try to eat them or shop them or scroll them or what have you. They don't go. And now we've got double emotions because now we feel bad for the very thing that we did to not feel. So these feelings don't go away. They just kind of go underground. And underground emotions, they run our lives through avoidance and numbing. Avoidance and numbing. We check out. We don't meet that emotion head on. We try to go around it. We think that we're skirting it. We're not. Emotions aren't anything to skirt either. There's something to feel and process and learn from. There's so much wisdom in emotions. I wish people could understand the power of them, but we don't. We're not normalized to, we're not conditioned to, and when we do, because we're not conditioned to, we judge ourselves for it. We judge ourselves for it. So, if arguing with reality does not work, and I'm here to petition that it doesn't, right? What does? So, two things. Um, Acceptance starts with accuracy. I kind of offered that up earlier, and accuracy allows us to have options, okay? So, naming reality doesn't mean you like it. Okay, we have to know that too, okay? It means that you stop lying to yourself about it. So, this is happening, not this shouldn't be happening. Okay? This is what they did, not this is what they shouldn't have done. No, this is happening. They chose this. This is what's real. This is here. I feel disappointed, right? This is happening. They chose this. They said this. I feel disappointed. The moment reality is named cleanly, your nervous system can take a breath because it doesn't have to armor up. It doesn't have to go into fight or flight. It doesn't have to resist. It doesn't have to justify and explain and defend your own human existence. You offer it up as if it is what it is, but without all the resistance that it shouldn't be the way that it is. Does this make sense, you guys? So when you create that level of space for your nervous system to be safe, you can breathe. You can breathe. When you can breathe, guess what happens? When you're not in a crisis, when you're not armored up, when you're not in fight or flight, trying to argue with reality, you get to use this beautiful prefrontal cortex part of your brain to make decisions, to problem solve, to get yourself in motion, to choose with this future loving part of your brain, right? If I feel disappointed and I don't have to buffer it up, I don't have to go to the pantry to eat my disappointment. I can just feel disappointed. There's nothing that I have to try to armor up for. It's like, oh, I'm just disappointed. What's the matter? We don't have to eat them away. We don't have to shop them away. We don't have to hide the fact that we're disappointed. No, we're humans. We're going to be disappointed from time to time. It's okay. Nothing has gone wrong, right? So that's one. Name it cleanly. Just name it. The second thing is once reality is named, there's then just one question left. And that is, who am I going to be inside of this? Right? Who and how am I going to show up in this? Right? In this moment. So this is happening outside of me. How am I going to show up? How do I want to lead? Do I want to chime in? Do I want to get all rebellious and be part of the mess? Or do I want to judge the mess? Or do I want to just sit and be the observer, but refuse internally to be a mess. Okay? They chose this. They did this. She did this. What do I want to do? Because what I see happen more times than not is the people that are bringing me frustrations about other people, how they show up, in armor is not much better. The very thing that they're judging the other person for is the very thing that they're showing up as. But thinking with your prefrontal cortex, making decisions for your future, who you want to show up as, it's a game changer, friends. I feel disappointed. Instead of rejecting that, right? It's how do I want to hold space for me? How do I want to hold space for me in this moment in time? Am I going to try to negate and discount and dismiss my own humanity by avoiding? Or am I just going to listen in and ask myself, what's up? What's the matter? What do you need? Because here's what I want you to consider. You don't control what happened. You don't. You don't control who people are. They have agency. They can do, say, and be whoever they want. And you don't control necessarily what you feel in that moment that you feel. But you do control who you choose to be next. You do control how you experience what happened. You do get to control how you experience this person, who they are. You do get to control how you want to show up based on how you feel. So acceptance isn't passivity. It's not just, oh, let them, like, I don't care. Like, no, it's not passivity. It's the end of this internal war that we're all armored up for so that our leadership can begin, so that we can choose anew with our future part of our brain that wants so much for us. And this is the truth that I want you to come back to, okay? This is that one anchor truth, right? So we had the three ways that I see this resisting, arguing reality show up. I offered up two solutions. And this is the truth. This is the truth that I want you to anchor to. Okay? Reality doesn't require your agreement. No one asked for it. No one cares. It requires your response. And the minute you stop fighting what already is, you get your energy back. Because you're not in defense mode. You're not all armored up. Fight or flight is exhausting. And energy is what allows you to choose. It allows you to have options instead of reactions. So, here's something to take with you today. I want you to do a reality audit. You guys, I do this with my clients. I do this with my life. It is game changing. Don't miss this invitation. Don't miss this invitation to audit your life. Okay? So it's a reality audit. What am I arguing with? Okay? Where right now are you in resistance for what is? Maybe it's the political climate. Maybe it's the economic climate. Maybe it's with your kids, right? Thinking they should be different, be better, be more respectful, whatever it is. Where's your argument with your spouse? Where's your argument with your team? Okay? What are you arguing with? And then what are the facts cleanly? Not everybody would say so. No, that's not a fact. But what are the facts? Proven in a court of law. What are the facts? And then given this reality, given what is economically, politically, what is with our teams, what is with our kids, what is with our spouse, what is with ourselves, okay? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Right? And that third question really is where the power is. That's really where the power is. And so to bring this home, to close this down, don't miss this exercise, you guys. It is game changing. You'll find a lot of thought errors when you do this audit. Okay? So acceptance is not the end of ambition. Acceptance does not mean indifference. It is not a passive experience. It's the beginning of effective action. It's the beginning of you choosing who you're going to be in this moment on purpose. So stop fighting what is and notice how much strength comes back online. When you stop arguing with reality, you'll notice how much energy you've spent trying to argue it. When you have energy and strength back online, you can truly begin to lead yourself from that place of inspiration and confidence. And when you're not in that place, it's next to impossible. So if this episode, right, stirred something in you, right, let that be enough. Let that be enough for today. And if you want a place to take this farther, to practice, to integrate, to be supported in this work, this is what we do together inside the lab. Okay? It's where these conversations become lived experiences, right? Through tools, frameworks, honest practice. There's way more than 3 things that we resist and argue with. There's way more than 2 tools. There's way more than 1 truth. This is where we learn them. This is where we learn the tools and the frameworks and the honest practice. And I love it because we do it together as a community. There's that social learning. There's that belonging. And I've talked to so many people just this year, and they just feel alone. They just feel isolated. They want a place to belong. They want a place where they can grow and have a level of support that isn't necessarily confining, but that's freeing. And if that is you, or if you know anybody, invite them to the membership. We have founding prices going on right now. We'd love to see you in the lab. And wherever you are right now, can I just end with, you're exactly where you're meant to be. It's exactly the way that it's supposed to be. Now, what are you going to do and who are you going to be to meet this moment? Have a beautiful one, everybody. Take care. Talk to you next week. Bye. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrollingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you and keep becoming.